Thank you, listeners. It is time for our weekday show, Elko Live, and today we have special guest in studio to talk about some of the most amazing amenities and cultural events and activities that we have coming up side by side. We have Mawson, who is our education coordinator from the Northeastern Nevada Museum. Thank you, Diet.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad we could be here.
I'm so glad you could be here today. And you brought with you a special guest because in your other life, when you're just not so busy with everything involving children and education and our museum, you have brought with you the director of the musical Chicago.
Yes, I managed to talk George into joining me today so that we could talk about both museum and Chicago.
That's perfect. And I think listeners will really appreciate the kind of work that goes on behind the scenes, if you don't mind me saying, to put on something as fabulous as Chicago, the musical. So I guess we could start by talking about the musical, and then we'll wrap it up by folding in all the really cool things that'll be happening and are happening at the Northeastern Nevada Museum. So George Jones is directing this production. Welcome, George, to the radio. And welcome, yes. I think you've been in the community, you and your beautiful wife, for a while, right?
We've been here about 4 years, yes.
And she is such a dynamo. She's a triple threat. Yes.
I think so too, yes.
You have married a triple threat, which in the theater musical world means she can sing, she can dance, she can act. And boy, does she do it all on stage.
Yeah, she's been performing for basically her entire life, and she's had some excellent training and excellent practice, and I'm really proud of her too, and the things that she can do on stage are pretty amazing.
Yeah, she sparkles. But enough about Amy, because we do have other cast members, and we want to talk about your generosity, George, in directing this production and how you decided to step up with this show.
Well, we're fairly new to the community. Even though we've been here 4 years, I feel like we're still fairly new. We've been involved in theater. My wife and I and my 3 daughters have been involved in theater for a really long time. And when we came here, she actually found out about Anything Goes a couple of years ago at the theater and auditioned for that and got the role of Reno Sweeney, and then got involved with Overland Theater Company and got on the board there. And they were talking about upcoming shows and what they might want to do, and Chicago came up, and I said I'd love to direct Chicago. I love the show. And, I said that would be a great thing for me to do to contribute to the community. And so we decided on it, we presented it to the board, and they said that sounds great. And they decided to pursue it, and we got the rights, which was actually kind of a miracle because Chicago is playing on Broadway right now and it's on tour. And usually when a show is on tour, they don't give the rights out to community theaters. So we were very, very lucky, very fortunate to get the rights. And part of that is we are limited on the number of tickets we can sell also. So normally when we perform a show in the community, it's pretty much, as many seats as there are, then we can sell that many tickets. But with Chicago, we're actually limited. So we are pre-selling tickets, and it's incredibly important to buy the tickets early because we are limited on the number that we can sell, which is kind of a disappointment. But, I'd rather have a limitation on the tickets that we could sell and still put the show on than not be able to do it.
Well, that is fantastic. And we have been reminding people to get those tickets. Our musicals usually sell out or come close to it, George, because this is a town that loves its musicals. So, Diet, if you wouldn't mind, because you're helping out with publicity with this endeavor, tell us about getting those tickets, buying them in advance.
So I actually want to add on to what George was just saying. Everything that Overland does, our board of directors, the directors for each production, the actors, everybody is volunteer. Nobody is paid to put this on, which is something that I think is kind of special in our community, that we have so many that are willing to give of their time to give something back to our community.
And Diet, you're so right. And that this production in particular, something that requires this much talent and effort, you've been auditioning and rehearsing since December.
Yeah.
That's an incredible period of time, and it is showing up on stage. So
it's going to be amazing. The whole show, the little bits that I've seen, and just knowing the cast, it's going to be incredible.
So we want to know about tickets.
So yes. Tickets can be purchased at overlandstage.com.
Overlandstagetheater.com.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yes, overlandstagetheater.com.
And that's with an R-E, not an E-R.
Yes, I was just going to say, because they're, we won't be snobbish about it, but that's just how it's spelled. So,
Yes.
yes. So go and get those tickets. OverlandStageTheater.com with a THEATRE. Be confident about those purchases. I think I went the very first day, so I got tickets for closing night because I love closing night. It's so magical, but who knows? I might end up going more nights. So shows are 7 p.m. every night with a matinee performance as well on those Saturdays, March 15th and 22nd. And it opens a week from today, George.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Oh, boy. Do you want to talk about the cast? You have an amazing list of local talent who have come together with this. I sure hope we don't get it mixed up with the touring show because, we could lose some community members. They might just take off with them.
So one thing I do want to mention about the tickets, we did decide to run the show over 2 weekends. I know that with a lot of people working for the mines and alternating schedules, I've noticed that a lot of productions are a single weekend and a lot of people miss out on those. So that was one of the things that was really important to me, was to make it available to as many people as possible. And hopefully that's going to work out. I've heard from several people that have been grateful that we have the show running for 2 weekends. I know that's not a very common thing, but I think it's going to work out really well. As far as our cast, I'm really pleased with the casting. It was difficult to make some of the decisions because we have very many talented people. Velma Kelly, the character of Velma Kelly, is played by my wife, Amy Jacque Jones, and Roxy Hart is played by Shauna Plunkett. Those are the two main female leads in the show. If you're not familiar with Chicago, it's about some women who are in prison for murdering their lovers or rivals, if you will. And it's about their plight to win over public opinion and continue through the trial process to eventually get out of prison. So there is talk of murder and things like that in the show, but it's not focused on that. So if you're wondering about whether or not you can bring children, if they're okay with that kind of topic, then again it's referenced, but it's not a focus of the show.
That's good to know. It's not exactly Saturday morning cartoons, but it's kind of close, right?
That's right.
Okay. So again, a complete cast of some of our most, and I've got to mention Megan McCallie as Mama Morton because everybody knew she was typecast for that. Everybody wanted to see her. Even if she wasn't going to audition, I'm thinking somebody was going to drag her to it.
Well, I hadn't known Megan before auditions, and people kept saying, oh, if Megan's coming out, she's going to be the perfect Mama. And when she auditioned, it was very clear that she was the choice for Mama.
Yeah, so folks will love to see her. You have some newcomers to the stage, like Thomas Gunter.
Yes, Tom, he came out and he has actually been involved in a lot of community theater productions as a trumpeter. And so he plays a trumpet and he's very skilled at that. But he said he wanted to kind of stretch his capabilities a little bit and come out for this. So he's playing Amos Hart, and he does a great job as Amos. And if you are familiar with the show and you know the song Mr. Cellophane, you will be thrilled when you see his performance of Mr. Cellophane.
We're all excited to see you, Tom. I think there'll be one theater full of people just there to see Tom Gunter. And that's the beauty, too, of community theaters. You get this kind of involvement no matter where you are in life. If you've never set foot on a stage sometimes, George, then there might just be a place for you. I know you do have an amazing ensemble as well because there's so much dancing in this production.
There's a lot of dancing, and the choreography is inspired by the original production. So if you are familiar with Chicago and you love the choreography by Bob Fosse, you're going to love the choreography here. We've added to it a little bit. We've changed some things here and there. I feel that we've improved it in some ways, which I'm sure Mr. Fosse would approve of also.
That's great. George Jones is director. Overland Stage Theater Company's production of Chicago the Musical that opens a week from today. That's next Thursday, March 13th, 7 p.m. showtime with a Saturday matinee, as he's mentioned, the 2 weekends. I just want to run down and make sure everybody gets a nod because, again, people have been working hard on this production. So as we mentioned, the lead characters we also have as Mary Sunshine, Annette Marshall. You have CJ Anderson is Billy Flynn, and he's our school superintendent.
Yes, he is. So, yeah, if you only know him from the school, you'll get to see a little bit of a different side of him. He's a real great guy, real fun, real energetic. He plays Billy Flynn, who's the attorney who's working on defending these ladies.
And he was so much fun in Little Shop of Horrors. So if you remember that production, certainly. And we mentioned Tom as Amos Hart. Liz is a Mary Murderess, played by Kristen Gall. She's lovely. Tara Bale is Annie, also a murdering Mary Murderess. Laura Siedebacher. We love Laura. She's June. Layla Bowers is Hunyak. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Hunyak. And
Okay.
she's a Hungarian who doesn't speak English.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Layla is a recent graduate of Elko High School, and she was in a few productions there at Elko High School. So if you saw some of those like Shrek and Peter Pan, you might recognize her from those. And she's having a great time with that. She was a little overwhelmed with having no English lines at all, but she's handling it like a champ.
She's mastered it. She's perfect for that. We have the fearless Mel Oliver as Mona, who's also a murderess.
That's right.
Yep. And Robert Adams is Fred Casely. Go to Hell, Kitty. This is our Poetry Out Loud state winner, by the way.
Yeah, Ashley Sandoval, and she's great in this role. It's a small role, but it's got a very big impact in the show.
And then we want to mention Noah Greens, the plays Harry, and the juror Lydia Snow. Love you, Lydia. She's from the Elko Daily Free Press as Sergeant Fogarty, and she was so pleased to be cast, George. Thank
Well,
you.
that's good to hear. She's doing a great job, and she's got a couple. She actually plays a couple characters in the show, and she is really great at delivering the lines and embodying those characters. She had some great suggestions for how to play the characters that I didn't even think of. So we went with that direction for her characters, and I think it turned out really well.
Nice. And then rounding out the ensemble, Amy Sundberg, Grace Skivington, Danica Evans, Lori Adams, Marianne McCowan, and Steve Prather.
Yeah, all great additions to the cast. Everybody's doing a great job, and we're really having fun with this show.
It is going to be a blast. And again, you've had all kinds of technical help. I did get to sneak into the theater and see you've got the Chicago sign and the Roxy sign. They're all lit up.
Yeah, they are. I do want to mention our set designer, Carrie Bates. She's done a phenomenal job with the sets. She's responsible for putting the Roxy sign together. She built the Chicago sign also. So yeah, they're going to be lit up. They're coming, at specific times during the show. So it's going to be spectacular. She built our orchestra grandstand from the ground up, and we have a live orchestra. There's 9 members of the orchestra, and so it's coming together really well.
I am so sorry I didn't lead with that. I think I buried the lead. Live orchestra, live music, because again, it is a musical. And there is something super magical, George, about, they've been in rehearsal for months, but once you get that live music and then you get those actors in front of that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a different experience. And some of the shows we've been able to have a live orchestra, some we have not. So I'm pleased that we were able to have a live orchestra for this one. We could have put the show on without it, but I much prefer having the live orchestra there.
And thank you. You know who you are. You wanted to remain anonymous, but you donated a drum set.
Yes, we did. That was a very generous donation. We really appreciate that. We had kind of a last-minute scramble because the drum set that we were using belonged to Elko High School, and we didn't communicate properly, didn't realize that
Lo and
it was
behold.
theirs.
Yes. Oh, we can't just use
Yeah,
this.
we couldn't just take the drum set. Silly us.
Yeah, well, it's community theater,
Yeah,
yes.
So we had a bit of a scramble and reached out to a few people, and we had an anonymous donor come talk to our orchestra conductor and say, "What do you guys need? I'll buy it right now." And bought it that day, picked it up for us in Twin Falls, and drove it back. And now it belongs to Great Basin College, so it can be used for any future productions.
Oh, George, thank you. That's just a wonderful example of how this community comes together, and not just for, obviously, our beautiful theater, our theatrical productions, but the arts and our museums. And I want to make sure, George, did I hit all the high points for you? Is there anything else that you want to make sure people are aware of today? You could have taken the whole half hour. I can see that now, but yes.
Yeah, you get me in front of a microphone. I can talk for a little while, but I did mention the sets. The lighting design. We've gotten assistance from Casey Bennett, who runs the lights at Elko High School also, and he's been very gracious, very helpful with the lighting design. It's not something that I have a lot of experience with. Most of the shows that I've done, somebody else has come in and done all the lighting, but he's been very helpful with that. We've got some great lighting for the show too, some great mood lighting, some great effects that I don't want to give away, but when you see the show, they'll be pretty good. And we also have a newcomer to our community. His name is Jameson Mott, and he's running all of the technical aspects for us during the shows, their performances.
Oh, fantastic. We love new theater people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. We have something like 5 different theater companies in Elko. I'm sure you knew that,
Yeah,
George.
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? We have all these diverse groups and meeting the needs of families and children, alternative type theater, original productions, for example. So it's happening. I know when I go to Nevada Arts Council meetings and we go to speak in front of people, they are shocked at how much live local theater we have in Elko. George, and you're part of that, so thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be a part of it. I've really enjoyed it.
So with that, we're going to switch over and talk about something else more that's even, well, I don't know that it's more beloved, but it's just as beloved, and that is our Northeastern Nevada Museum, and they have lent you, Diet. Wanted to make sure before we shift into museum activities, do you think all of your thoughts about Chicago are reflected? Anything else you wanted to add today?
I think George covered it great. That's why I asked him to come,
I
because
was like, oh, that's
it's like he
fantastic.
knows more about what's going. Like I'm doing all the the extra publicity
You're
things,
doing a
getting
lot
the
of
word out
lifting.
there. But
Yes.
he's the passion behind the production. So he's got all that.
Love it.
I'm
love
glad he
it.
came.
Yeah, well, it's going to be just an amazing production, lots of great energy. Again, live music, dancing, singing, acting, it's all there, the total package. So with that, get those tickets again. Overland Stage Theater, THEATRE.com. Get them online. I do see a note here that there will be tickets at the door, cash or check only, as long as it doesn't sell out.
Correct.
Okay, but I wouldn't take that risk.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I would get someone to help you. If you're hesitant about doing stuff online, grab a teenager and they'll help you. They'll get you through it. So Diet Mawson, Diet, you're in charge of, you've got a second Saturday this Saturday.
Yes, it kind of snuck up on us, because with the first being a Saturday. So yeah, and actually this one is kind of really cool. I'm excited about it. We've got, every March, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday on March 2nd. So every March I do a birthday party for Dr. Seuss. And this year it actually is really fortuitous. It ends National Reading Week, or Read Across America Week, that is taking place right now. So right now kids are celebrating Reading Week by dressing up as their favorite book characters and having read-ins and doing all those things in school. And so Saturday they can come to the museum and they can end their reading week with a birthday party for Dr. Seuss.
And I happen to know you have the outfit for this.
100%, yes. The Cat in the Hat will definitely be there, and we'll be reading the foot book. And we will have a variety of different activities and games, and there will be at least 3 scavenger hunts. I've also heard a rumor, Miss Brianna from the Elko Library, she makes the Spuddies. She sent a Spuddy last year that dresses up like the Cat in the Hat. He's an imposter.
Ooh.
And he hid somewhere in the museum last year, and everybody had to find him. I have heard that he's going to come back this year.
Okay, all right.
So there will be an imposter cat on the loose around the museum as well.
That's second Saturday, this coming Saturday, March 8th, at our very own Northeastern Nevada Museum at 1515 Idaho Street. And Diet, admission is free for this second Saturday.
Right. It does start at 10 o'clock. If you are interested and want to be there for the story, definitely get there early. The theater seats will fill up pretty quickly. It usually does for this one. And then it ends at noon.
You do follow up with crafts and
Yes.
games right
Yep.
after the story, right? So
There's always something that they get to make and take home with them. There's always exploration of the museum. And like I said, scavenger hunts through the museum this time.
Well, you are just delightful, Diet. You just do so much for the kids. I'll be out somewhere and kids are just running up and flocking to Diet because you may have known them their whole lives. Yes.
I was going to say your Livy was one of them that used to do that.
Yeah. You were a preschool teacher before you did this, and absolutely.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There's been a lot of kids in my life.
Yeah. And we are a better community for that, Diet.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and for these wonderful, free, family-friendly activities, you can count on the Northeastern Nevada Nevada Museum, rolling out the fun for the kids and families, and doing things for the adults, like the Halleck Bar Party.
Yes, and the Halleck Bar Party is coming up on March 21st. It'll start at 5:30 and go until, is it 8 or 8:30?
I think it's, and sometimes you have to kick people out.
I know.
8:30.
8:30.
Yes.
There we go. So
All
from
right.
5:30 to 8:30, the theme this year is the Cisco Kid, and there will be a costume contest with a prize. We will pass the traditional shot of Beefeater gin over the bar and toast the bar, which is the whole reason for the party, really. But this is also kind of a fundraiser for us, too. We ask for a $20 donation from members and a $25 donation from those that are not members. So if you're not a museum member, it's okay. You can totally come. We want you there. But, you know, there's benefit to being a member.
There are so many benefits to being a member. I've been reminding people this is a great time of year to renew memberships or just to initiate one. You can give them as gifts. Mm-hmm. There are family, individual, business sponsorships. There are these lifetime legacy memberships that you can contribute. And it all goes to preserving our local history.
Yes, it absolutely does. And the family membership is probably the best deal out of all of them. It's a $35 fee for 12 months from the date that you sign up. So if you went in and signed up today, in 12 months,
you can renew.
Yeah.
Yep. It gets you discounts in the museum gift shop.
Yes, you get discounts. You get free admission all year long. You get a discount if you want to rent the museum for an event or a party. You get... we do free admission to our movies, our Night at the Museum movies. There will be one coming up in June, so just watch our Facebook for that.
Are those the ones that are outdoors?
No, the Night at the Museum ones actually are really fun. We show them in the theater, and then I hide pictures from the movie around the museum. Oh. And everybody goes around and does a flashlight scavenger hunt.
And sometimes
so I turned off the lights.
You go in places where the public doesn't normally go, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, well, it's all supervised.
Yes.
But.
So it's... it all is the lights get turned off and they go through with a flashlight and find those pictures.
I remember this because Livy said, obviously this has haunted her somewhat through childhood, but there were some scary dolls.
Oh, yeah.
Diette's blushing because it's like, oh yeah, probably everybody was scared by the scary dolls.
I don't ever put anything by the dolls because there are so many kids that come over and tell me how creepy the dolls are.
And they're part of our history, thankfully.
Yep.
They're tucked away for future. Oh, Diette, how much fun is that? So our museum, again, with fun family activities just for youngsters to get them enthusiastic about, our history, as well as being part of the future. Because obviously, when you learn from history, you can be inspired to do some cool things going forward.
I like to tell the classes that come in that they're making history today. When your teacher asks you to write a journal or make a journal entry every day, because I think English teachers still do that, that's part of history right now. Like, as soon as you write it down, it becomes history.
And anything that you create, artwork, for example, if you're part of a production, a play, you're only as good as your last production. So,
exactly.
Yep. So that's so cool. So these are all things that, again, we can look forward to just this spring and summer. I know, Diette, you'll be back, and I'm thinking you're going to have to bring George back as well, or come on your own, George, because obviously this is pretty cool, and you're going to be doing some more shows, I would think, right?
Yes, we will. There will be more shows coming up, and I think we have a couple on the schedule already.
Oh, you're welcome to plug them.
We actually,
announced.
Okay.
There are no official decisions made.
Planning right now. Yes.
Yeah, and technically, until we secure the rights to a show, we can't advertise it.
Oh, that's perfectly understandable.
Yep.
Great Basin College does shows. Of course, Overland Stage Theater Company, Ghostlight Productions, which is downtown at the Stage Door. That's what I was talking about. Some of the avant-garde and the original works are performed there. We have a Starlight Productions, which is children's theater, and then there is Silver Stage Players, which they just had a membership meeting on Saturday. And again, this is the time of year when people start rolling out ideas, getting ready for the season. Yeah. So a lot to look forward to. Well, I guess I have a couple more minutes too, Diette. We were talking museum stuff, and something that I think the community, during one of the most recent city council meetings, approval has been given, and we can look forward to a museum expansion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm not at liberty to reveal
Of
about
course,
it, but
of
it
course.
is definitely coming. there will be an expansion. There are some really great partnerships that are going along with that, and we're really excited. It's definitely overdue and needed for the community.
There'll be some special exhibits programmed. And again, these are all just as a result of public conversations. The museum has a very active, avid board of directors, and they have a great vision for the facility. But Nevada Gold Mines will make a significant investment because they would like to have the history of mining told. So
And
that'll happen. Yeah.
We are so thankful to Nevada Gold Mines for their presence in our community and the things that they do for our community.
Absolutely. And then there's also work going on to represent our Native American community, because that's been discussed for a long time. So
Yes.
having something represented there. So that's in the works. But there are ways that you can continue to support. There are beautiful collections, some of them permanent at the museum, and others that might need some ongoing support. Right, Diet?
Yes. And actually, you know what? I mentioned that the Halleck Bar Party is a fundraiser. We have another annual fundraiser that we do, and we're actually getting ready to start it right now. If you are a business owner, or if you just are someone who wants to contribute to things, the Great Humboldt Duck Race is we're going to start kicking off the sales for the Great Humboldt Duck Race. It'll take place in July. But
You sell a lot of ducks.
We sell a lot of ducks, and we start looking for those sponsorships right now so that we can advertise for you throughout that season. As a sponsor, if with $500, you would get 200 ducks in your name, plus you would get your company's name and logo on our electronic light sign, as well as any mentions on Facebook or Instagram or
Any
the
of
radio.
social- Oh, yeah. Whatever we're
I
doing.
bring them up in the
Yeah.
radio as often as I can as well. So you'll always be mentioned as a great sponsor of the Humboldt Duck Race.
And this is a beloved race, and thanks to the fire department, we don't have to wait around in the muddy Humboldt
my
River
goodness, thank
anymore. That
goodness,
was so
yes.
scary. I would literally just think, what is under there? So we're now meeting at Angel Park and doing
Yes.
it in a very fun, safe way.
Yep, and it's so much better this way. It's more accessible.
Yes.
We can have whole families, and kids can come out and enjoy the morning with us.
Yep, they just fill that hillside, and it's a giant slip slide, and the kids can race down and race with the ducks.
Yep.
Super cool. Diet, thank you again for everything that you bring to your position at the museum and for being such a great advocate for our community.
Thank you.
Yes, everywhere you go. We appreciate your bright light. So thanks,
Thanks.
Diet. Diet Mawson. The Northeastern Nevada Museum is at 1515 Idaho Street, 775-738-3418. They're on Facebook. They're online. They're on socials all over the place. But they love to see you in person. So do stop by and make your membership, create one or renew it today. And again, thanks to George Jones. He's director of the musical Chicago that opens a week from tonight. Thank you, George.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today.